welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be another declutter, and I feel like I posted a declutter maybe 2 months ago, and I don't like to have declutters like that close together. Like, I don't want it to feel like I'm just constantly having like these huge declutters, which we're not going through my entire makeup collection today and decluttering everything, but I was starting to feel just incredibly overwhelmed by my blush, highlight, and lip categories, and foundation a little bit. I love to test new products. I am that gal that just like loves to test new products. So I did want to make some room. Like, I wanted to clear out some things that I did not feel like I was going to use, because everybody is releasing blush and I want all of the blushes. So my daughter and I actually sat down. Ew, I got a little coffee or spit on my lip. My daughter and I sat down one night, literally swatched my entire lip collection with her, looked at like what was similar, like what I wanted to keep, and I gave some products to her for her salon. All of the lip products that I was no longer interested in that she took to her salon, which is just a corner of my office. And then I also went through my blush and highlight collection. So I have some products that I'll be getting rid of, a couple face palettes to a couple foundations. So if you guys are interested in seeing what I'm going to be getting rid of, I feel like a couple of them might be a little bit surprising. Stay tuned. First, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel and you like project panning content, or you just like to chit chat about makeup, I would love if you would consider subscribing before moving on. And other than that, let's jump into the video. All right, let's start with foundations first, because I just have two. I don't know if this video is going to be going up before or after my Graveyard Project Pan update. So if it is before, this is a bit of a spoiler, but I've decided to declutter my Too Faced Born This Way foundation. My foundation collection is feeling out of control, and I am just loving a lighter coverage foundation these days. So this is just not it. It's, what am I trying to say? I was gonna say, it's not it, sis. Like, it's just not it anymore. And I've gone through 4 tubes of this, jars, whatever you want to call it, in the past, and I'm just like, I'm at peace with saying goodbye to this. So I have quite a bit of this left. I was gonna see if a friend or my sis wanted this rather than me using that, but wanting to be using other things. So getting rid of that, and then my ABH foundation as well, my luminous foundation. I've had this for a couple years. I feel like it's one of those foundations that like sits in my drawer and like looks at me and is like, girl, like you should be using me. And I'm like, yes, like, but I feel like reaching for something different today. So I'm just not reaching for this. And again, like, there's so many new things. There's so many new skin tints. I'm having so much fun trying other things. I'm ready to say goodbye to this. Okay, I think I might do face palettes first. Up first, I've had these 3 like powders for a bit, and I'm just like, these are going to my daughter's salon. These are 2 blushes from Makeup Forever that I purchased years ago, like so long ago, and I like never reach for these, so it's just not worth it. I don't reach into like a magnetic palette for face shades. It's just not happening. And then I also have this very old KVD shade that used to go in like the Shade and Light palette, and I purchased the wrong shade, and I've just kept this around thinking one day I'll use it, and I don't. So I'm getting rid of that. I'm getting rid of 2 glow kits, which leaves me, I think, with my Nicole Guerrero one, my Aurora, and the Sun Dipped glow kit. And I think that is like all that I'm left with for my ABH glow kits, because I got rid of another one late last year, I believe. But I'm just not reaching for these. I truly am not, and I'm not looking for a highlight that is super intense anymore. So I am actually getting rid of my Moonchild glow kit. I've been keeping this around for such a long time because these are, I clearly tried to depot one of these and it didn't go well. Hold on. I'm just gonna close this up so that doesn't fall out again. I am gonna be passing this along to my daughter's salon as well. But these make really good inner corner highlights. So I've been holding on to it for that reason, but I literally still never reach for it for inner corner highlights. So I'm ready to be done with that. And then also my ABH glow kit, the Sugar Glow Kit. So I did pop out 2 of the shades that I wanted to keep, and then I am going to be getting rid of or passing these other 2 shades along to Zoe's salon. So getting rid of that. And then I have this duo, which I had been storing in my face palette collection. This is from Wander Beauty, and this is this duo. I struggled so hard to let this go. But the reason, like, I had to have a heart-to-heart with myself and be like, when was the last time you actually reached for this duo? And when you reached for it, were you making yourself reach for it because you felt guilty, or did you actually want to reach for it? And it was one of those products that, again, kind of like stares at me in the drawer and says, like, you should use me, but I feel like I am compromising, I'm compromising to reach for this, and I'm actually wanting to reach for something else. So there's no point in me keeping something around that I'm not uber excited to reach for at all times. And then I'm also getting rid of this. This is the very old Tarte Clay Play. It's the original. I've kept this around being like, oh, like, you know, let's bring this on vacation because it's super neutral and like it's perfect for traveling. That's exactly like the voice in my head. But I went to Florida in May and I didn't bring this with. And I can't remember the last time I reached for this. So ready for that to go. And then this, I guess you could also consider a face palette. It's a trio. It's from Alamar Cosmetics, and I really like this. I really do. I just have other blush. I usually just reach for single blushes. Like, very rarely do I actually reach for something like this. And when I do, I really have been enjoying my NARS face palettes, or my Lorac one, which is currently going in my whole collection project pan. And these are just more vibrant shades. I'm usually not wearing a super vibrant, like, orange shade. I do love a coral, but these are just like a little bit too much for me. So I'd rather either give them to my daughter or pass them along to someone else who's going to use them. And then I have one more duo, and I'm going back and forth on this. This is going to my daughter's salon in case I change my mind and want this back. But I have my Jaclyn Cosmetics duo in Pink Me Up and Oh Honey. I just like didn't love this like I wanted. Even now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'm gonna try this a few more times. I do want to do a chopping block series, and maybe I'm gonna toss this into a chopping block series and use it consistently. Just ignore this. I'm not gonna cut it out because I'm gonna be real with you guys and let you know I was thinking about decluttering that, but I'm not going to. Okay, I think the rest are highlights and blushes. Should we do highlights first? When I started to swatch my highlight collection, I honestly, first of all, I thought I had like 2 pink highlights in my collection, even though pink highlights are my favorite. I have so many pink highlights in my collection. I also thought when I started to swatch the pink highlights, those would be the ones that like there would be like something very different about each of them. I'm not kidding. I was chuckling out loud when I was swatching all of my pink highlights next to each other because they all looked the exact same. Like, if they were even swatched on the arm, like, you couldn't tell a difference. You really could not. So, do I have all of my highlights out? Yes. Okay, so up first, I have a cream highlight I'm getting rid of. I'm going to get rid of my Halo Scope from Glossier. This just isn't a favorite. I have my RMS Beauty that I prefer more than this. I have other cream highlights, other liquid highlights that I think are better. This is a product that, like, if I'm reaching for this, I'd rather be reaching for something else. So why am I keeping it? And then the other highlights. So I do have only 2 pink highlights I'm actually getting rid of. One of them being the Laura Geller Charming Pink Highlighter. I'm not going to swatch these, you guys, because if I do, I will convince myself I need to keep them. This is like very painful for me because I love my highlights and blushes, but my collection is way too large. It's still too large. You'll see in my makeup inventory that's coming up, like, can you guys, like, this is why we're doing a declutter, because my makeup inventory is looming in the very near future. And my collection is still way too large. So this looks like 10 other pink highlights I have in my collection. I'm ready to get rid of this. And then same thing with the ColourPop Soul Body highlight in soft pink. To be honest, I really wanted to keep this, especially because this is my only Soul Body highlighter. But this looked like so many other pink highlights I have, and if I'm being really transparent, this is the least expensive, so that's why I'm getting rid of it. I will try more highlights from Soul Body in the future. I am certain of that, but from Odin's Eye, I was thinking about decluttering my highlighting palette from them, but then I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And I wasn't going to declutter this. I wasn't going to declutter this highlight. This is from their Norns collection in the shade oh, Web of Destiny. But I decided to keep my highlighting palette, and this shade looks super similar to one of the other shades in the Odin's Eye highlighting palette. The formula on both of them, or just like the finish on the skin, is not my absolute favorite for either. So I was like, if I'm gonna keep the highlighting palette, then I feel like I should declutter this because it's so similar, and I already was like questioning whether or not I should declutter this because I don't think I'll reach for it that often. So I finally decided I can let go of that. I can't remember if I've already told you guys that I'm decluttering this or not, but I am decluttering. It's still in my, I put it back in my box so I can just resell this because I barely use this. It's my ABH highlighter in, what's the one that came out? What is it called? Oh, the Iced Out highlighter. This was so yellow toned on the skin, and I was just not a fan of this at all. It did not work for me. It wasn't my jam. I wanted it to be similar to the Amrezy, like I'm sure so many of us were expecting it was going to be, and it just wasn't. So I know I'm not going to reach for that. I am very comfortable getting rid of that. And then speaking of yellow toned highlights just don't look good on my skin, not good on my complexion. I usually lean more neutral cool when I'm not self-tan, and even self-tan, I just don't like a yellow highlight on my skin. So I am going to be getting rid of the Milk Flex highlight in the shade Iced. Again, a couple of these might be accidental repeats from my previous declutter. If so, I apologize. But this is a very yellow toned highlight, and I'm not a big fan of that. And then another yellow tone highlight I'm getting rid of. This one was a little bit more tricky for me to decide I was going to get rid of it, but then I was like, girlfriend, be honest with yourself. There's other highlights you'd reach for over this and be much more happy with the way that they looked. This is just a little mini from Becca, and it is in the shade Vanilla Quartz. And, ooh, another like highlight. Yeah, this is the last like highlighting type of product. It's from Dominique Cosmetics. I recently rolled this into a project pan. Used it one time and I was like, no. This may be a little bit dried out now, which could, no, it's not. I just don't like the way it looks on my cheeks. It's very, it's almost like a yellowy rose gold. I just don't like, it does not look good on my cheeks anymore. I used to love that, and now I'm like, what was I thinking? So I'm getting rid of that. And now, the most difficult part, we're moving on to the blushes. So I do have some cream / liquid blushes that I'm getting rid of. Please do not judge me, and just hear me out on this. So up first, I have the Milani Cheek Kiss. I have not ever really been a huge fan of this one. Like, it's fine, but I don't love the formula on this. I don't think it's that good. And I just, there are many other blushes. Many other blushes in my collection that will keep me just as happy with this not being in my collection. I'm also going to get rid of my Kaja stack. This one is in Juicy Watermelon, and I have similar shades, and I just didn't think the formula on this was that great. So just saying goodbye to that one. This one I really struggled with, but I know that this will be going to Zoe's salon. So if like I really miss this, then I can always just steal it back. This is from Tarte. It's from their Sugar Rush line, I believe, and it's in the shade Beaches and Cream. The formula is not as emollient as I would like, and it's just like not a great shade for me. So I am ready to say goodbye. It's such cute packaging though, so cute. And then I do love the Rare Beauty blushes. Do not get me wrong, but I really do prefer the glowier blush formula to the matte formula. And when I was looking at my collection, I was like, I really need to declutter more. So I finally came to terms with the fact that I can say goodbye to this. This is the Rare Beauty Bliss, like the Rare Beauty blush in Bliss, which is the matte version. I have many other matte blushes in my collection that are very similar to this in shade, and this is a more finicky product in that you do have to be a little bit careful with the amount of like actual product you're putting on your cheek because it is very pigmented. So I'm getting rid of it. I'm gonna stop talking so I can get rid of it. So this may come as a shock to some of you, but I am getting rid of only one of my Buxom Wonderlust blushes, and this one is in the shade Ibiza, and it's just a shade thing for me. Like this shade, I don't need it. I'm not gonna reach for a shade like this. I have 3 other Buxom Wanderlust blushes. I love this formula. It's one of my favorites. The shade, I don't need it. We're getting rid of that. From Cover FX, I am getting rid of one of my blush duos. I'm gonna do it. I was like, oh, should I get rid of both? And I was like, no, I can't. So I'm getting rid of Warm Honey, which I actually thought I would keep Warm Honey and get rid of Soft Peach. But when I swatched Warm Honey, it reminded me so much of my Charlotte Tilbury blush that I was like, okay, I can get rid of this. I'll keep Soft Peach and we'll be good to go. From ColourPop, I had both of the blushes from the Wild Child collection, I think it was, in the shade Jet Set, as well as Stay Trippin', as well as Trippin'. These are, I love bronzy blushes, and I thought that I could use these as a bronzer, and I just know I'm not going to reach for these. I know I would rather be reaching for something else, and reaching for these, I would be forcing myself to reach into these, so I am going to pass those along. And then from Kosas, I'm getting rid of my blush duos. This was very difficult, but when I looked through everything, I was like, are you actually reaching for this? And I feel like I was keeping this for the cream pink highlight, but I do have other cream and liquid pink highlights in my collection that I was like, I am comfortable with these and I am ready to say that I'm good passing this along. So I was proud of myself because I love those Kosas duos. You guys know that. From ColourPop, I'm getting rid of two other blushes. I actually am getting rid of all of my ColourPop blushes. This may be a thing where I'm like, I know I didn't pay that much for these, so I'm good with it. The Fresh and Peachy blush was the most difficult for me to say goodbye to, but this, swatched by many other blushes in my collection, read just about the exact same in the swatch. Like, it's gonna look the same on the cheeks. So I was like, I'll get rid of the ColourPop blush. And then I also have this one in my collection. This is in Petal Pusher, which is this really unique shade, but just not a shade I was going to reach for. I remember buying this thinking I needed this because I needed a cool toned blush in my collection, but I have neutral blushes in my collection, and I have like one or two cool tone blushes that I have if I absolutely feel like a look just needs that cool tone blush and nothing else. So I'm ready to say goodbye to that. From Moni, I have the Lovesome blusher, which is a really beautiful, just neutral pink. But this barely shows up on my cheeks, and I have other neutral blushes that I would reach for over this one. Is this the last one? Yes, I have the last product. This was also hard, but I did want to get rid of one of my Hourglass blushes because this just wasn't working for me. Again, shade thing. This is in the shade Diffused Heat. Used to love the Hourglass blushes. I still like them. I think they're pretty, but I used to think I like needed to have every Hourglass blush ever made, and now I'm like, nope, like I'm good. I also forgot I had the Hourglass Ghost Quad with the 4 blushes, and I was like, oh, I am good. I have a couple other Hourglass blushes still in my collection, so I am good. I can say goodbye to this. So I will also be decluttering that. But that is going to wrap it up. Those are all of the makeup products that I have decided to declutter right before my makeup inventory. I was preparing my makeup inventory and I was like, girlfriend, like, this still is not good. So yeah, that'll be an interesting video to film, so make sure to check back for that. Thank you guys for sticking around to watch today's video, for supporting me as you always do, never making me feel bad about my makeup addiction, never making me feel bad that like sometimes things just gotta go, and never judging me for my makeup inventory collection. For my makeup collection. Anyway, that is gonna wrap it up for today's video. I appreciate you guys so much. I love you, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.